The airlock hissed open, and Jiho stepped onto the Eternal Dawn research station for the first time. His boots made soft sounds on the metal floor, so different from the heavy thuds of the alien crew members around him. He carried a single bag over his shoulder and looked around with wide eyes full of wonder. The station was massive. Corridors stretched in every direction, tall enough to accommodate species twice his height. Everything was built on a scale that made him feel small. The doors were thick and heavy. The gravity felt slightly lighter than Earth's, making each step feel strange and bouncy. Naira watched the new human arrive from her position near the security checkpoint. She stood over 7 feet tall, her scales gleaming green and bronze under the artificial lights. Her tail swayed slowly behind her as she observed. This was her job as senior security officer, to monitor all new arrivals, especially from species considered vulnerable. Humans were definitely vulnerable. Everyone knew this. They had soft skin that tore easily. No natural armor or claws, no venom or defensive abilities. They were small compared to most spacefaring species. Their homeworld was barely developed, and they had only recently joined the galactic community. Jiho approached the security desk where Naira stood. He smiled up at her, and she noticed how his face moved in ways Valtorian faces could not. His expressions were fluid and easy to read. "Hello, I'm Jiho, the new xenobiologist from Earth," he said. His voice was soft and pleasant. Naira nodded slowly. "I am Naira, security officer. Welcome to Eternal Dawn." She handed him a datapad. "These are station regulations. Your quarters are in Section 7, the human wing." "Thank you," Jiho said, taking the pad carefully. Their fingers brushed for a moment, and Naira was struck by how warm his skin felt. Not cold like hers, but radiating heat. Over the following days, Naira found herself watching the human more than necessary. It was part of her job, she told herself. Humans needed protection. The station had many species, and not all of them were careful around smaller beings. She watched Jiho struggle with doors that opened easily for everyone else. The sensors were calibrated for stronger species, requiring a firm push that seemed to challenge him. She watched him in the cafeteria, carefully eating foods that other species consumed without thought. He had to check everything to make sure it would not poison his delicate system. One morning, Naira found Jiho stuck outside a laboratory door. He was pushing against it, but the heavy panel barely moved. "Allow me," Naira said, stepping forward. She placed one hand on the door and pushed. It slid open smoothly. Jiho looked embarrassed. "Thanks. I keep forgetting how strong everything here is built." "It is not your fault," Naira replied. "The station was designed for larger species. Humans are different." "You mean weaker," Jiho said, but he smiled when he said it. There was no anger in his voice. Naira felt uncomfortable. "I did not mean offense, none taken. It's true, isn't it? Compared to Valtorians, humans are pretty fragile." He adjusted his bag and entered the lab. "But that's okay. We make up for it in other ways." Naira thought about that conversation for a long time afterward. She began seeing Jiho everywhere. The station was large, but somehow they kept crossing paths. She learned that he worked long hours in his laboratory, studying samples from the nearby planets. She learned that he loved Earth music and would play it softly while he worked. She learned that despite being so physically weak, he never complained or asked for special treatment. One evening, Naira entered the observation deck and found Jiho there, sitting on the floor and staring out at the stars. The view was beautiful, endless darkness filled with brilliant points of light. "Do you mind if I join you?" Naira asked. Jiho looked up and smiled. "Please do." Naira sat beside him, careful to keep some distance. She was always afraid of accidentally hurting him. Valtorians were strong, and she had been trained as a warrior. One wrong move could break human bones. "Do you miss Earth?" she asked. Jiho nodded. "Sometimes. But this is amazing too. My whole life I dreamed of seeing other worlds, meeting other species. Now I'm here living that dream, even though it is difficult." "Even though you are..." Naira searched for the right word. "Weak?" Jiho finished for her. "Yeah, even though I'm weak. Strength isn't everything, you know. On my world, strength is survival," Naira said. "The strong protect. The strong lead. Without strength, you cannot survive the wars. Earth had wars too," Jiho said quietly. "We know about survival." Something in his tone made Naira look at him more closely. For just a moment, his expression was different, harder, older. Then he smiled again, and the moment passed. They sat together in silence, watching the stars. Naira felt something strange in her chest. Not pain, but something warm and unfamiliar. She had never felt attracted to another species before. It seemed wrong somehow. Valtorians mated with Valtorians. That was natural. But sitting beside this soft, gentle human, she could not deny what she felt. The next week brought trouble. A Crolian warrior named Vex entered the cafeteria while Jiho was eating. Crolians were large, aggressive, and territorial. Vex had made it clear he did not like humans on the station. "Look at the little human," Vex said loudly. His voice boomed across the room. So small and soft. "Like prey." Jiho continued eating, not responding. "Hey, prey animal, I am talking to you," Vex said, moving closer. Nira stood up from her table. "Vex, leave him alone," Vex laughed. "Why? Are you protecting your pet human, Naira? How cute." Other aliens watched now. Some looked uncomfortable. Others seemed amused. Nira walked toward Vex, placing herself between him and Jiho. "He is crew, same as you. You will show respect." "Respect for that?" Vex pointed at Jiho. "Humans are weak. They do not belong in space. One good hit and they break." "Then you would face charges for harming crew," Naira said coldly. Her hand moved to her weapon. Vex stared at her for a long moment, then laughed again and walked away. "Not worth my time anyway." When he was gone, Naira turned to Jiho. "Are you all right?" Jiho nodded. He looked calm, almost too calm. "I'm fine. Thanks for stepping in. He should not speak to you that way." "It's okay," Jiho said. "I'm used to it." Words don't hurt me, but Nira felt angry. She was angry at Vex, angry at the others who laughed, angry at a galaxy that saw humans as weak and worthless. She was also angry at herself because part of her had thought the same thing. That night, Naira went to Jiho's quarters. She had never visited before. The door was marked with earth symbols and soft music played from inside. Jiho answered, looking surprised. "Naira, is something wrong?" "I wanted to apologize," she said. "For what?" "For thinking of you as weak, as something to protect. You are more than that." Jiho smiled, and this time the smile reached his eyes fully. "Would you like to come in?" Naira entered, and they talked late into the night. She learned more about Earth, about humans, about Jiho himself, and with each passing hour the warm feeling in her chest grew stronger. She was falling for him. A human. A member of a species everyone called fragile. She just hoped she would not accidentally break him. 3 months passed, and Naira's feelings for Jiho became impossible to ignore. They spent every free moment together. She showed him the combat training rooms. He showed her Earth movies on his personal screen. They ate meals together, walked the station corridors together, and talked about everything. The relationship confused other crew members. Valtorians did not usually bond with other species, especially not one so physically different. Naira's fellow officers asked her many questions. "Are you sure about this human?" asked Cora, another Valtorian security officer. "They are so delicate. What if you hurt him by accident?" Naira had the same worry. She was always so careful around Jiho. She never gripped his hand too hard. She never hugged him the way Valtorians hugged each other. She moved slowly and gently, treating him like something precious and breakable. But Jiho never seemed bothered by it. He smiled at her caution and made jokes about being the fragile boyfriend. Still, Naira could not shake her concern. One evening, they were in Jiho's quarters, watching an Earth film about ancient human warriors. Naira was fascinated by the violence in human history. For a species considered weak, they certainly made entertainment about fighting. "Your people fought many wars," she observed. "Yeah," Jiho said. "Humans have always been good at conflict, maybe too good. But you have no natural weapons, no claws, no armor, no venom. How did you survive against predators on your world?" Jiho was quiet for a moment. "We found ways. Humans are adaptable." There was that tone again, that strange edge in his voice that appeared sometimes. Naira wanted to ask more, but Jiho changed the subject. "I need to tell you something," he said. "My people, the other humans on the station, they want to meet you properly, have dinner with us, get to know you." Nira felt nervous. "All of them?" "There are only 5 of us total. Me, Taman, Hieri, and 2 others. We're a small group, please." "It would mean a lot to me." Nira agreed. though she felt anxious about it. The dinner was held in the human section of the station. Nira had to duck through doorways built for smaller beings. Everything in the human area was scaled down, more comfortable for their size. Taemin greeted her with a wide smile. He was shorter than Jiho, with quick movements and bright eyes. "Welcome, Jiho talks about you constantly. It's nice to finally meet properly." Hyeri was taller with a calm presence. She worked in medical and studied Nira with professional interest. "A Valtorian and a human. Fascinating pairing. I hope you're both being careful." "We are," Nira said quickly. "I would never hurt him." Something passed between the humans then, a look Nira could not quite read. Taemin and Hyeri exchanged glances. The others smiled in a way that seemed knowing. "Of course not," Hyeri said smoothly. Jiho's lucky to have someone so considerate. The dinner was pleasant. Humans, Nira learned, were social creatures who bonded over shared food. They told stories, laughed easily, and included her in everything. She felt welcomed in a way she had not expected. But she also noticed strange things. Taemin mentioned working for 30 hours straight on a repair project. 30 hours without sleep. That seemed impossible for such a small species. Hyeri talked about hiking on Earth, walking for days through mountains. 50 miles in 2 days, she said casually. It was a nice, easy trip. Nira knew her own people could not walk 50 miles in 2 days. Not easily, not without rest, and Jiho. She watched Jiho throughout the evening and saw how he moved. There was a grace to it, an efficiency, like someone trained in combat, though he had told her he was just a scientist. Later, walking back to her quarters, Nira felt confused. Something did not add up, but she could not figure out what. The following week brought a situation that increased her worry. Jiho was working in his lab when an accident occurred. A shelf collapsed, and heavy containers fell. Nira heard the crash from the corridor and ran inside. Jiho stood among broken glass and spilled chemicals. A cut on his arm bled red blood. His face was pale. "Don't move," Nira said. "You are injured. Let me get medical." "It's okay," Jiho said. "Just a cut, I'll clean it up." "You need treatment, that is deep." But Jiho was already moving, cleaning the wound himself. He applied a bandage, and that was it. No medical team, no emergency response. Nira checked on him the next day. The cut was already healing, the skin knitting together faster than she expected. When she asked about it, Jiho shrugged. "Humans heal pretty quick from small stuff like that," he said. But Nira had studied biology. Small cuts on most species took longer to heal. Much longer. She started noticing more oddities. Jiho worked long hours, often through the night. She would find him in his lab at impossible hours, looking tired but functional. He should have been exhausted, falling apart. Instead, he just kept going. One night, Nira could not sleep. She went to find Jiho, knowing he would still be awake. She found him in the observation deck again, their special place. "Can I ask you something?" she said, sitting beside him. "Always." "Why do you let everyone think you are weak?" Jiho turned to look at her. In the starlight, his eyes seemed different, older, more dangerous. "What do you mean?" "You work without sleep. You heal fast. You never complain about pain. Today I saw you carry equipment that should have been too heavy for you. You pretend to struggle with doors, but I think you could open them if you wanted to." Jiho was silent for a long time. Finally, he sighed. "Can we not talk about this yet?" he asked quietly. "I will tell you everything soon, I promise. But right now, can we just sit here? Just be together?" Nira wanted to push for answers, but the sadness in his voice stopped her. "Yes," she said, "we can just be together." She moved closer and carefully, so carefully, put her arm around him. Jiho leaned against her, and they watched the stars in silence. Days later, Nira was called to her commander's office. "Commander." Thresh was an old Valtorian warrior with scars covering his scales. He looked at Nira with disapproval. "I hear you have bonded with a human," he said. "Yes, sir." "This is unwise. Humans are weak. They are a protected species. You cannot have a proper mate who is so fragile. With respect, sir, that is my choice. It reflects poorly on our people. Valtorians mate with equals, with warriors, not with prey species. Naira felt anger rise in her chest. Jiho is not prey. He is intelligent, kind, and valuable to this station. He is also soft and weak. One day you will accidentally break him, and then what? You will face charges. Your career will end. I am careful. You should not have to be careful with a mate, Thresh said. Think about this, Naira. Think about your future. Naira left the office feeling worse than before. The commander's words echoed in her mind. Was she being foolish? Would she hurt Jiho despite her care? That evening, she almost ended things. She went to Jiho's quarters planning to break off the relationship for his own safety. But when he opened the door and smiled at her, when he took her hand without fear, she could not do it. I love you, Jiho said suddenly. I know it's early, and maybe it's complicated, but I love you. Just wanted you to know. Nira's breath caught. In her language, she said words he could not understand. Then, in his language, she said, I love you too. They held each other carefully. Naira still afraid of her own strength. Jiho warm and solid in her arms. She did not know then that everything she believed about him was wrong. The alarm started at 0300 station time. Naira woke immediately, her warrior training kicking in. Red lights flashed in her quarters and the computer voice announced emergency protocols. Solar flare detected. Hull breach in Section 4. All personnel evacuate affected areas. Emergency crews report immediately. Naira grabbed her equipment and ran. Section 4 housed multiple laboratories and living quarters. Dozens of crew members were there, possibly trapped. She reached the command center within minutes. Other security officers were already coordinating. Commander Thresh stood at the main console, his face grim. Report, Naira demanded. The flare hit our shields at an angle we did not predict, Thresh said. Burnt through the outer hull in Section 4. Emergency doors sealed automatically, but there are 17 crew members trapped inside. The section is venting atmosphere. How long do they have? 20 minutes. Maybe less. Naira ran towards Section 4 with her team. They reached the emergency doors. Massive barriers designed to contain catastrophic breaches. The doors were sealed tight, locked down by the station's safety systems. We need to override manually, Naira said. The computer won't open them while the breach is active. Her team tried. The manual override required turning a wheel mechanism with enormous force, then holding it while others worked on the door itself. It was designed to need multiple strong individuals working together. Naira grabbed the wheel with both hands and pulled. Her muscles strained. The wheel moved slightly, but not enough. 2 other Valtorians joined her, adding their strength. The wheel turned more, but it was not enough to fully disengage the locks. We need more strength, one officer gasped. Inside the sealed section, crew members were dying. Naira could hear them on the comms, their voices desperate. Hieri was in there. Several Valtorian officers Naira had known for years. Good people, keep trying, Naira ordered, pulling harder. Her scales scraped against metal. Her muscles burned. But the door would not open. Then she heard footsteps behind her. Let me help. Naira turned. Jiho stood there wearing his standard uniform. He looked small next to the Valtorians, his face calm and focused. Jiho, get back. This is dangerous, Naira said. They're running out of air, Jiho replied. He walked forward, moving past the other officers. You cannot help with this. It requires too much strength. Let me try. Naira wanted to argue, but there was something in his voice. That edge again, that hardness she sometimes noticed, and in his eyes something cold and certain. She stepped aside. Jiho approached the wheel mechanism. He rolled his shoulders once, stretched his neck. Then he removed his jacket, and Naira saw his arms properly for the first time. They were not bulky like Valtorian arms, but she could see defined muscle under his skin, more than she expected. He gripped the wheel. Everyone step back, he said quietly. The Valtorian officers looked at Naira. She nodded slowly, confused but trusting. Jiho pulled. The wheel turned, not slowly, not with visible strain. It just turned, metal grinding against metal, the mechanism that had resisted 3 Valtorians now moving under the force of 1 human. Nira stared. All the officers stared. Jiho's face showed effort but not struggle. His teeth were clenched, his muscles tight, but he was not shaking, not failing. He turned that wheel like he had done it 1,000 times before. Now the door, Jiho said, holding the wheel in place. His voice was steady. 2 officers grabbed the door and pulled. It opened partially, enough for crew members to escape, but the door was heavy, trying to close again. The officers could not hold it. Jiho released the wheel and grabbed the door himself. He braced his legs, put his shoulder against it, and pushed. The door stopped moving. He held it open, one human against tons of reinforced metal. "Go," he said. "Get them out." Naira and the other officers rushed inside. The section was a disaster. Smoke and emergency lights. They found the trapped crew members and started pulling them out. Yeri was unconscious but alive. The others were panicked but mobile. Through it all, Jiho held that door. His face showed strain now, his arms trembling slightly. But he did not let go. Did not fail. He stood there like a living pillar, keeping them all safe. When the last crew member was out, Naira shouted, "Clear! Let it go!" Jiho released the door and stepped back. It slammed shut with a boom that echoed through the corridor. The automatic locks engaged. Everyone was safe. Jiho stood there breathing hard, his shirt soaked with sweat. He looked at Nira and she saw something in his expression. Guilt, maybe, or resignation. "I can explain," he said quietly. But before he could, Yeri woke up coughing. Other crew members needed medical attention. The emergency took priority. Naira helped coordinate the rescue efforts, but her mind was racing. What had she just seen? How had Jiho done that? 3 Valtorians could not turn that wheel, but 1 human did it easily. No, not easily. But he did it. It was impossible. Everything she knew about humans said it was impossible. Hours later, when the crisis was over and everyone was safe, Naira found Jiho in his quarters. He sat on his bed, still wearing his sweat-stained clothes, staring at his hands. "I broke protocol," he said when she entered. "I was not supposed to reveal that." "Reveal what?" Naira's voice shook. "What are you?" "I'm human." "That part is true. Humans are weak, fragile, everyone knows this." Jiho looked up at her. "Yeah, everyone knows that." The way he said it made something click in Naira's mind. A suspicion she had been pushing down for weeks suddenly forced itself to the surface. "You have been pretending," she said slowly, "all this time. The struggling with doors, the careful movements, the appearance of weakness. It was all an act. Jiho did not deny it. Why?" Naira demanded. "Why lie?" "It's complicated." "Explain it now." Jiho stood up. He moved differently now. No longer the careful, gentle movements she was used to. He moved like a warrior, like someone trained and dangerous. "Tomorrow," he said. "Come to my quarters tomorrow evening. I will tell you everything. But right now I need to report to command. They are going to have questions." "I have questions," Naira said. "I know, and you deserve answers tomorrow, please." Naira wanted to demand answers immediately, but she saw exhaustion in his face, real exhaustion. He had held that door for several minutes. Even with impossible strength, that had to be tiring. "Tomorrow," she agreed. "But Jiho, if you lied to me about this, what else did you lie about?" He met her eyes. "I never lied about loving you. That was always real." Naira left his quarters confused and angry. She went to the medical bay where Yeri was being treated. The human doctor was checking her own vital signs, looking annoyed at being on the patient side of medicine. "Yeri," Nira said, "what is Jiho?" Yeri looked at her for a long moment. Did he do something amazing and incredibly stupid during the rescue? He opened the emergency door. Alone. Yeri sighed. "Then I guess you will find out soon. Talk to him, Naira. Let him explain. It's not what you think. Or maybe it's exactly what you think. I don't know anymore." That night, Naira could not sleep. She kept seeing Jiho gripping that wheel, turning it with strength that should not exist. She kept hearing the metal grind and the door boom shut. She had fallen in love with someone fragile, someone she needed to protect. But that person did not exist. The real Jiho was something else entirely. Tomorrow she would learn what that was. Naira arrived at Jiho's quarters exactly at the scheduled time. She had spent the entire day working but barely paying attention. Her mind kept returning to the emergency door, to the impossible strength, to the lies. Jiho opened the door before she could knock. He looked tired, with dark circles under his eyes. But he also looked determined. "Come in," he said. His quarters were neat as always. Earth music played softly in the background. On his desk, Naira saw a datapad displaying an official document with Earth government seals. "I have been authorized to tell you the truth," Jiho said. "After yesterday, the secret cannot hold anyway. Too many people saw. Command knows. They are debating what to do." "What secret?" Naira demanded. She remained standing, ready for anything. Jiho took a breath. "Humans are not weak. We never were. Everything you have been told about my species is a lie. Or more accurately, a very careful misdirection." Naira felt her scales tighten. "Explain." "Sit down, please. This will take time." She sat, though every instinct told her to stay ready for danger. Jiho began talking. "When Earth first made contact with the galactic community, we studied everyone carefully. We saw how species were classified. Strong warrior races like Valtorians, intelligent but fragile races like the Mintar, predator species, prey species, everyone fit into categories. Yes, this is how it works. We realize something important. The strong species, the warrior races, they scare everyone. They get respect but also fear. Other species form alliances against them. They get into conflicts. Meanwhile, the weak species get protection. They get underestimated. No one sees them as threats." Naira began to understand. "So you chose to appear weak." "We chose to be honest about some things and quiet about others. Yes, human skin tears more easily than Valtorian scales. Yes, we do not have natural armor. These facts are true, but we left out other facts, important ones." "Like what?" Jiho stood and walked to his computer. He pulled up files, projecting images into the air. Naira saw Earth, a blue and green planet. "This is my homeworld. Beautiful, right? It is also a death world. I do not understand that term. Most species in the galaxy evolved on planets with 0.8 standard gravity. Earth has 1.3 standard gravity. Everything on my planet is heavier. When I came to this station, I felt lighter, stronger. Because here, gravity pulls less." Naira stared at the numbers. 0.3 difference did not sound like much, but over a lifetime of evolution, it would matter. "There is more," Jiho continued. "Earth has extreme weather, deserts that kill with heat, tundras that freeze, storms with winds that destroy. Our planet tried to kill us every day, so we evolved to survive it." He pulled up more images. Animals from Earth, things with claws and teeth and size. These are Earth predators. We had no natural weapons, so we developed tools. But more importantly, we developed endurance. Endurance? Humans are persistence hunters. On Earth, we would chase prey for hours, sometimes days. We cannot run as fast as many animals, but we can run longer. We can keep going when anything else would collapse from exhaustion. We evolved to never quit. New images appeared. Humans running impossible distances, climbing mountains, surviving in environments that looked deadly. "Your body gives up when it is tired or hurt," Jiho explained. "It shuts down to protect you. Human bodies do not do that. We have something called adrenaline. In danger, our bodies flood with chemicals that block pain, increase strength, sharpen focus. We can keep fighting when we should be dead. This is why you work without sleep, why you heal fast. Yes, humans need less sleep than most species. We recover quickly from injuries. Our pain tolerance is abnormally high. We evolved these traits to survive a world that kept trying to kill us." Naira felt cold despite her scales. "How strong are you really?" Jiho looked at his hands. "In standard gravity, an average human can lift about twice their body weight. In this station's lighter gravity, more. I am not even a strong human by our standards. Taman is stronger. Hayeri is faster. There are humans back on Earth who could tear that emergency door completely off its hinges. But you pretend to struggle with simple doors." "Yes, because if we showed our real strength, everyone would fear us. Earth would be isolated. We would be seen as a threat, not as potential allies and friends. So our government made a decision. We would integrate slowly. We would appear weak and harmless. We would let other species underestimate us. You lied to the entire galaxy. We omitted certain truths, Jiho corrected. Everything in the databases is accurate. We just did not volunteer information that would change the perception. Naira stood up, pacing. Her mind raced with implications. The military applications. If humans are this strong, this enduring, you would make formidable soldiers. Yes, Earth's military is much stronger than anyone realizes. But we do not want war. We want peace. We want cooperation. That is why we hide. You hid from me, Naira said, and her voice broke. You let me treat you like something fragile. You let me worry constantly that I would hurt you. Every time I touched you, I was terrified of breaking you. And it was all a lie. Jiho stepped toward her. That part was not about the galaxy. That was personal. Naira, I did not know how to tell you. At first I thought our relationship would be brief. Then I fell in love with you. Real love. And I was trapped. If I told you too soon, you might feel betrayed. If I waited too long, you would feel betrayed. There was no good time, so you just kept lying. I kept trying to be what you needed. You were so gentle with me, so careful. I saw how much you cared. I did not want to ruin that. Naira felt tears forming, something Valtorians rarely did. You made me love someone who does not exist. The fragile human who needed protection. That person is not real. That person is real, Jiho insisted. I am still me. I still love Earth music and bad movies and talking about xenobiology. I still love sitting with you watching stars. The only difference is I am stronger than you thought. Everything else is the same. Everything is different. You have been pretending for months. I have been protecting myself and protecting you. Jiho's voice grew harder. Do you know what would happen if everyone knew humans were strong? Some species would want to exploit us, use us as weapons. Others would try to eliminate us as threats. Earth would face isolation or invasion. I hid to keep my people safe. And what about keeping me safe? From the lie? I never wanted to hurt you. Naira turned away. She could not look at him. Her mind showed her memories in new light. Every time she carefully held his hand. Every time she worried about hugging him too tight. Every time she defended him as fragile to other crew members, she had been played, made to look like a fool. I need time, she said quietly. I need to think about this. Naira, please. No, not now. I cannot do this now. She left his quarters quickly. In the corridor, she saw other crew members staring at her. Word had spread about the rescue, about what Jiho did. Everyone knew now. Commander Thresh called her to his office the next morning. So the humans are not what we thought, he said. This changes things. Yes, sir. Earth's government has sent official communications. They are requesting we keep this information contained. They are not ready for galaxy-wide revelation. Will we comply? Thresh leaned back. Probably. We do not want conflict with Earth. But Naira, I told you humans were wrong for you. I was correct, just not in the way I thought. He is not too weak for you. He was never weak at all. He just made you think he was. I know, sir. Can you trust him again? Naira did not answer. Over the following days, she avoided Jiho. She worked her shifts, ate alone, and stayed away from places they used to meet. She saw him sometimes in corridors. He always looked sad, but he did not approach. Hieri found her in the gym one evening. He is miserable, Hieri said. So are you. Talk to him. He lied to me. He protected his people. Those are different things. Do you know how hard it was for him? Pretending to be weak, letting species, like Vex, mock him. He took that insult and humiliation to keep Earth safe. That takes a different kind of strength. Naira had not thought of it that way. And he fell in love with you, Hieri continued. Real love. That was not fake. His feelings were always honest. But the person I loved was not real. Yes, he was. He's the same person. You just know more about him now. The question is, can you love who he really is? Naira did not know the answer. 2 weeks after the revelation, the station had settled into an uneasy new normal. Everyone knew about humans now, at least everyone on the Eternal Dawn. Some species reacted with fear, others with respect. A few, like Vex and his Crolian friends, reacted with anger. Naira still had not spoken to Jiho beyond brief professional exchanges. She saw him in meetings. They were both on the safety committee now, reviewing procedures after the emergency. He was polite and distant, giving her the space she needed, but she missed him, missed their talks, missed sitting together watching stars, missed the warmth of his hand in hers. She just did not know if she could trust him again. The decision was made for her one night when alarms blared through the station once more. Security alert. Unauthorized weapons discharge in Section 3. All security personnel respond. Nira grabbed her equipment and ran. Section 3 housed the station armory and weapons storage. It was one of the most secure areas on the station. She arrived to find chaos. Crolian warriors led by Vex had taken control of the armory. They had weapons now, heavy plasma rifles designed for station defense. They held 3 crew members hostage. What is happening? Naira demanded over comms. Commander Thresh responded. The Crolians are attempting a takeover. They believe current command is weak. They want control of the station. How many hostiles? 12 armed Crolians in the armory. Unknown number of sympathizers elsewhere. Naira, they are demanding we surrender command or they will start killing hostages. Naira felt cold rage. This was mutiny. This was unforgivable. The human section is near there, she said suddenly. Are the humans safe? Unknown. We lost contact with them 2 minutes ago. Nira's heart dropped. Jiho was in the human section, so were Taman and Hyeri and the others. She ran toward the human quarters, ignoring Commander Thresh's orders to hold position. She had to know if Jiho was safe. She found Vex and 4 other Crolians in the corridor outside the human section. They had plasma rifles aimed at the door. The soft humans hiding in there, Vex said when he saw Naira. We are going to take them hostage. Use them to negotiate. Your little pet will be leverage. Over my dead body, Naira growled. That can be arranged, Vex said, turning his weapon toward her. Then the door to the human section opened. Jiho stepped out. Behind him came Taman, Hyeri, and the 2 other humans. They were unarmed, wearing their standard uniforms. They looked calm. You should leave, Jiho said to the Crolians. His voice was quiet but clear. Vex laughed. Look at this. The prey animals giving orders. Get back inside before I... He did not finish the sentence because Jiho moved. Nira had never seen anything move that fast. One moment Jiho was standing still. The next moment he was a blur. He crossed the distance to Vex in less than a second, too fast to track. Jiho grabbed the plasma rifle and tore it from Vex's hands. The weapon broke, pieces scattering. Then Jiho's fist connected with Vex's armored chest. The Crolian warrior, who stood twice Jiho's height and outweighed him by hundreds of pounds, flew backward and crashed into the wall. The other Crolians stared in shock. Then they aimed their weapons, but the other humans were already moving. Taman slid low, sweeping a Crolian's legs and catching the rifle as it fell. Hyeri moved like liquid, dodging plasma fire and disarming another warrior with precise strikes. It was not a fight. It was a demonstration. Naira watched, stunned, as 5 unarmed humans dismantled 5 armed Crolian warriors in under 30 seconds. There was no wasted movement, no hesitation. Every action was efficient and controlled. These were not scientists playing at combat. These were predators. When the last Crolian was down, Jiho stood over Vex. The Crolian warrior looked up with fear in his eyes, true fear, and Nira understood why. Jiho's expression was cold. Not angry, not emotional, just cold and calculating, like he was deciding whether Vex was worth killing. The armory, Jiho said, looking at Naira. How many more? 12, with hostages, Jiho nodded. He turned to the other humans. Taman, Hyeri, take Bora and Minho, secure the armory. Non-lethal if possible, lethal if necessary. I will coordinate with security. Just like that, he took command. The humans moved immediately, no questions asked. They disappeared down the corridor, fast and silent. Naira stood there holding her weapon, feeling useless. You coming? Jiho asked. He was looking at her, and his eyes were different now. This was the real Jiho. The one who had survived on a death world. The one who had evolved from persistence hunters. Yes, she said. They ran together toward the armory. Naira could barely keep up. Jiho was fast, faster than any Valtorian she knew. He moved through the station like he had mapped every corridor, every turn. They reached the armory to find the other humans already engaging the Crolians. It was brutal and efficient. The Crolians had weapons and armor, but the humans were simply better. Faster, smarter, more vicious. Taman moved through 3 Crolians like they were standing still. Hayeri had 2 unconscious before Naira even entered the room. The other humans worked together with practiced coordination. One Crolian grabbed a hostage, putting a weapon to their head. "Stop or I kill this one!" Gio did not stop. He threw something small and fast. The object hit the Crolian's weapon hand with perfect accuracy. The weapon fell. Before the Crolian could react, Jiho was there, pulling the hostage to safety and disabling the warrior with 2 quick strikes. In 5 minutes, it was over. All 12 Crolians were unconscious or restrained. All hostages were safe. The humans had not even broken a sweat. Naira stood among the aftermath, looking at Jiho with new eyes. This was his true nature. Not the gentle scientist, not the fragile human who needed protection. This was a member of a species that had clawed its way to the top of a death world's food chain, through pure determination and adaptability. Later, after security had secured the prisoners and debriefed everyone, Naira found Jiho in the observation deck. Their place. He stood looking at the stars, his back to her. "I am sorry I avoided you," she said. Jiho turned. "You had every right to be angry. I am. But I also understand now." She moved closer. "Hieri said you took insults and humiliation to protect your people. I did not appreciate how hard that must have been. Letting species like Vex call you weak when you could have destroyed them. It was necessary. It was sacrificial. You sacrificed your pride, your dignity, to keep Earth safe. That takes strength, a different kind of strength than physical." Jiho smiled slightly. "I am still the same person you fell in love with. I still cannot sing. I still make bad jokes. I still love you, I know, and I still love you. But I want to know all of you. Not the act, the real you. The real me is not always pleasant. We are predators, Naira. Humans are good at violence because we evolved for it. We survived by being more stubborn, more vicious, more determined than anything else on our planet." "Show me," Naira said. They went to the combat training room. It was empty this late at night. Jiho stood in the center, and for the first time he did not hold back. He moved through combat forms, each strike powerful and precise. He demonstrated speed that made him blur. He lifted weights that even Valtorians struggled with in this station's lighter gravity, lifting them like they were nothing. Then he stopped and looked at her. "This is what I am. This is what humans are. Still want to be with me?" Naira walked up to him. She did not move carefully this time. She grabbed him firmly the way she would grab another Valtorian and pulled him close. "Yes," she said, "because now I can stop being afraid of breaking you." She kissed him, and for the first time she did not hold back her strength. Jiho kissed back just as firmly, his hand strong on her back. When they separated, both were breathing hard. "Though I do have questions," Naira said. "Were you ever actually struggling with the doors?" Jiho laughed. "Maybe the first day. After that, no. I was pretending. The cut in your lab. You could have healed that yourself immediately." "Yes, but injured humans get sympathy. Weak humans get protection. It was all part of the act. That is devious. Humans are very good at deception. Another survival trait." They sat together on the training room floor. Naira leaned against him, no longer afraid of hurting him. "What happens now?" she asked. "With Earth and the galaxy? I do not know. The secret is out, at least on this station. Earth's government will have to decide how to handle it. Maybe they will continue the act elsewhere. Maybe they will start being honest. Time will tell. And us? We start over. Honestly, this time. You know what I am now, all of it. If you can accept that, then we have a real chance." Naira thought about everything she had seen. The strength. The speed. The cold efficiency in combat. She thought about the lies and the reasons for them. She thought about Jiho holding that emergency door, saving lives at risk of exposing his secret. She thought about him taking insults and mockery to protect his planet. She thought about him loving her despite the complications. "I can accept it," she said. "I can accept you. The real you. They sat watching the stars together, no more secrets between them. Outside the window, the galaxy turned, unknowing that one of its assumptions had been shattered. Humans were not fragile. They never had been. They were survivors from a death world. Persistence hunters who never quit. Warriors who hid their strength behind gentle smiles. And Naira had fallen in love with one of them. She would not change that for anything.